Hi everyone, I'm the plant propagator and welcome to my channel. Today I have a couple of problem orchids that I wanted to share with you as far as what they are and what I'm going to do with them to hopefully not have them be problems anymore. So they're the two orchids that are in front of me on the table, and they're different issues, kind of. I'm not really sure what the issue is with this one, but we'll take a look at it. So we'll remove it from the pot and see what's going on. The first issue right here is this orchid, and this, you can't tell what's going on because it's sitting in a basket. But the reality of this is that this was a problem. And this is what's left of this orchid. Actually, what happened is this is Fuchs Orange Nugget right here. This is a really well-known orchid from RF Orchids. They did the original hybridization to generate this. It's a pretty common and pretty popular plant, and I actually got it from RF Orchids. So Fuchs sold me Fuchs Orange Nugget, which was nice. What happened is I tend to trust the potting medium that Fuchs uses, that RF Orchids uses, and I left this in the potting medium, in the original potting medium, way too long. And what happens over time is the potting medium degrades, and then when it degrades, it kind of, there's the stuff in there that won't degrade, but they also put bark and other organic material in there, and that does degrade, and then it kind of turns to mush, and it turns to regular soil. And what happens is the roots can't breathe, so then they just rot. And that's what happened to this plant. All of the roots on this original plant, and it was big, and I actually have another division of this same plant that was a little farther along, and it's doing well now. So I've already potted that one up. This one, though, this was another half of the plant, and it was a little bit slower. And this one is now responding, and now it is ready to go. And when I say ready to go, what does that mean? So when I made this division, essentially there was no roots. They're all cut off, as you can see. But there was no growth. There was nothing going on here. And then I took this thing and I just put it in an empty basket right here. Nothing, nothing in here. I put it in an empty basket and just kind of hung it up right over here. And this is what you can do with orchids in this area. They just kind of, they hang, and they don't do anything until they're ready. And when they're ready, what happens is the new eyes that are on these orchids, that are on each new pseudobulb, when it grows out, has a couple of eyes associated with it. Each one of those eyes has the potential to grow out. Usually only one of them does. And what happened is a new pseudobulb grew out right here, and you can see it here close up. So the new pseudobulb came out, and then it grew a little bit, and then new roots came out of the base of that pseudobulb. And once that happens, then the timing is right, and then the plant can then be potted up. So that's what I'm going to do with this orchid, because it's ready. There is another eye on the other side of this plant, and it hasn't, the pseudobulb has not grown out from that, but it will over time. But in the meantime, you want to get these roots, these new roots, when they're, I don't know, ½ inch to an inch, when they're just starting to form, and they're growing out nicely here. So this is the time when this plant is potted up. But because there's no roots, we've got to stabilize it in the pot. So there's not much to this. And so all I'm going to do is take this plant that's forming, a nice new pseudobulb, and I'm going to kind of try to anchor it down in this pot. And it's already in this pot, growing close to the edge of this pot. I'm trying to think, no, I got to leave everything on here. I could cut this off. I'm going to do that. Okay, so these are already pre-flamed, and sterilize. So I'm going to cut off. You don't typically do this, but I want more room in the pot, and there's nothing. This is a back bulb, and I'm looking at the base of this, and there may be an eye here, and I might shove it in a tree in the front yard just to see how it does. But what it does is it gives me a lot more room to plant this in this pot rather than have it with that extra pseudobulb in the back, have it sticking out so much further into the pot. So what I do, the potting medium that I use in this area is I always use lava rock, the real big coarse stuff in the bottom of the pot, and then I fill it up with leca. And so what I'm going to do next is just put the leca all around it and anchor it in the pot. And what I'm trying to do again with this is to anchor it down and get it positioned in the pot so that it is a little bit stationary and stable. So I am going to use, so this is just in here, it's pretty loose in here, so I am going to just gently knock this down so that it kind of positions itself around the plant a little bit and kind of holds it in place just a little bit. It's still very loose. And then I'm going to use a pot clip in order to really hold this and position it in place. So that's pretty good right there. And that's all there is to it. It's not pretty good. It just moved. So what I'll do, the other thing that I do here, and I'm not set up to do this right now, so I can't show you. But I'll explain to you the next step here is that I have hangers that I use. So this pot is this is a plastic pot that had some holes burned into the side, small holes enough for the wire hanger to go in. So I'll position the wire hanger around here, and then I will essentially twist tie a few of the leaves that happen to be next to the wire hanger to the wire hanger itself. So it's kind of double anchor it in place. And that's all there is to this. So what you end up with is a nice, I'll put the tag in here so I know what it is. So what you end up with is a nice single plant right here with the pseudobulb, the newest pseudobulbs growing out in that area. There's again another pseudobulb growing on the back side of this, and it may grow on the back side of the plant, and that's fine. But that's all there is to it. I'm going to put in some Nutricoat fertilizer and some granular fungicide to stabilize this in place. But that's pretty much all there is to it. This one, the roots are growing out. It's the perfect time to do this. I'm making this video because it needed to be done. It's the perfect time. If you wait for the roots to get too long, they may break when you do these types of manipulations. So this is, the timing of this is good. And then again, the other thing is that's important is to stabilize the plant in the pot. And I do that through a pot clip, but then I'll also twist tie the pseudobulbs of this to the hanger that I'm going to use. And I don't think I need to show you that, but also I'm not set up to show you that now. All right, so again, this is Fuchs Orange Nugget. This is a really simple repot here. Most of the work on this plant I did previously, and so when I took the plant and cleaned it up and cut off all the nasty stuff, that was the work. And then I've had this sitting here. I don't know if it tells me how long. I don't think, probably just for a couple of months. That's a long time. And there were two plants. The first one, like I said, I already potted up and it's doing really well. The plant's growing nicely. Okay, the second one is this plant right here. And this is a little bit of a problem that's coming up. This is Cattleya Dinard Blue Heaven. And this is a plant that I picked up from Palmer Orchids in Bradenton. This plant, this is a nice plant. I picked this up. It had two new pseudobulbs that I saw that were coming out of it. I picked this up a few months ago. It's been doing well. I'm happy with it. But what happens with some plants when you buy them, if they sit, what bothers me, and the reason that we're doing something with this today is, I don't know if you can see the browning. I'll take a close-up of this. The browning on this leaf here, the leaf here, and then the leaf behind it. And the leaf behind it just fell off, and this will do the same thing. And this is black rot is what, and black rot is everywhere. You don't eliminate it. I think what happens is at Palmer, they must spray their plants really well, and then when they go to a place where they're not sprayed as well, which is here, maybe the black rot then comes out. I don't know. But this plant needs some surgery before repotting. So what I'm going to do is pull this out of the pot. I want to see what the roots look like. I want to see closer what the pseudobulbs look like, and then we'll decide what to do. Okay, so let's pull the tag out. There is a tie, a pot clip that is right here. Wow, that is a small pot clip right there. I'm going to knock this plant over. It's not in there that good. Okay, so what I'm going to do, and as I even pull the pot clip out, I can see where it was holding this plant down. It's the pseudobulbs that are coming out. I can see the base of those pseudobulbs are they're black. So this is black rot is really in here, and it's doing a number. I'm going to open this thing up over this is my trash container right here. And this is what I want to, we'll see what the plant looks like. The potting mix itself is in decent shape, but what I'm seeing is a lot of, and there's charcoal, there's bark. What I see, what Palmer does that I don't like that they do, but I understand why they do it, they put styrofoam in the bottom of the pot. I hate styrofoam, so all the styrofoam is coming off and out. You know, it doesn't hurt anything. I just don't like, you know, pulling it off the roots or pulling the roots off of it. So when I look at this plant, and what the next step, whenever you do stuff like this, is to clean it up. It's going to go, this is a Cattleya, and it's also going to go in the same thing, the same potting mix that I just used for Fuchs Orange Nugget. But what I'm seeing in here, there's charcoal, there's good quality bark, a lot of charcoal, and then there's also perlite in here. So I'm gonna get this out and then see what I have. The other thing that I'm gonna do, and I'm gonna have to take a break from you when I do this, I'm gonna need to clean this up, wash it and clean it up, and make sure I can see what's going on. And I'm kind of pulling it apart a little bit so that I can see exactly what's going on. What I'm getting a lot of is roots in here, and this is kind of what I expected, and this is what leads to different types of issues. Is the roots are all they're all rotting. Okay, so this is just, there are some, so the new lighter colored roots right here look okay, but even the base of some of those newer roots are rotting here. So I'm gonna have to get rid of all of that. There's a half of a nice root system here, but then there's also a lot of rotting roots. So I'm gonna very carefully kind of remove everything from here to see what I have. And what I'm starting to see is where the black rot, again, when you have a root system that is just compromised in some way, like is happening here, it kind of, when it's in a pot, you can't see what's going on, but the plant tells you there's something going on. So the fact that I have this black rot here and then this pseudobulb is so you know, soft at the base, that means that there's an issue underneath in this plant going on in the pot. So as I kind of pull this out of the pot, I'm thinking I'm going to find something here, and I did. So there's an issue. What you do in order to find out a little bit more about the root system is if you squeeze the roots, and they're mushy and soft as you might imagine, and they're black, that means the roots are no good. And if you leave those on, it just is going to continue to contribute to more root decline. So I'm going to take an effort. I have to actually take this, I've got to take this and wash it off. I'm going to take a hose to this and wash it off and see what I find. So I'm going to take a little bit of a break so that I can clean it up and come back here and tell you in a little bit more detail what I'm dealing with here. You know, a lot of the plant, the new pseudobulbs, of course, look good, and when the new roots grow out of that, the plant will reestablish. There are some new roots coming out of that, but not very many. So let me get this thing cleaned up, and we'll come back and pot this guy up in a very similar way to what we already did with Fuchs Orange Nugget. Okay, and we're back, and I'm losing sun here. This was a scorcher. This was hot today. It got up, I think, to, you know, still spring, and it got up to 90 degrees here. I think I saw with a heat index, it was like 95 today or 96, which is hot. So I'm doing my video in the evening and the sun is about to set. Anyway, what I did is I took this plant and took the hose to it and got a little aggressive with seeing what was around the root system. And what I found is at the middle of the plant where it was just a mass of stuff in the middle of the plant, and it was sphagnum. So a lot of growers, they put the orchids in a sphagnum plug, and then they just pot up around it and everything's fine. But from what I've seen, because my conditions are a little wetter here, anything where there's sphagnum or any place that's really tight, what happens is I get rot. So I have to I had to get rid of it. I had to pull it out because it's just going to stay wet, and then it's going to lead to more rot. I'm reflaming my instrument here because I used it to cut Fuchs Orange Nugget, and I have to, you know, and what I'm concerned with, you know, you're concerned with all types of pathogens, and I think everything's okay, my plants are okay, but the main thing you're concerned with when you flame an instrument like this is viruses. You know, you're concerned with other things. So what I'm going to do is just be quiet here. You can listen to some music, and what I'm going to do is kind of trim this up a little bit and get rid of a lot of these roots that are brown and rotting. And again, because what happens is if you leave these rotting roots on here, they'll continue to rot. So you can't have that. So if it looks good, I leave it on, but I'm not too, this is all bad here, but I'm not too concerned because I've got some new pseudobulbs growing out, and what'll happen is the new roots, similar to what we saw here, the new roots are going to grow out from the new pseudobulbs on this plant. But I got to get all the the old nasty rotting stuff trimmed off. Okay, so I think I got, and there's not much left here, so I trimmed off a lot of these rotting roots because, you know, the reality of it is that the rotting part of this, it's going to keep on rotting, and it's going to kind of filter up, and when there's a nucleus of, you know, rotting nasty material, you're going to have issues. The other thing here is that there may even be two plants in here. I think, I can't even tell if these plants were connected. When I pulled off, so you saw, I explained to you previously that there seemed to be black rot that was down in there, and it was kind of like in the middle, off to the side a little bit. When I pulled that off, it kind of disrupted the structure of the plant. I had to pull it off, and that's where the sphagnum moss plug seemed to be located. It was just kind of like it was a mushy but solid kind of mass that was there. So I pulled that off, and then what I'm left with is not much of a root system here. But this is fine, and this is what I'm going to use. The other thing is that I need to get another clip. This clip that came with the original pot, I don't think this is going to work for me. But what I'm going to do is the same thing that I did with the other plant. The new pseudobulbs that are right here are going to be kind of in the middle of the pot because the plant is growing out in this direction. So I'll start off in putting lava stone on the bottom. Again, it's kind of what I do here. And then we get it kind of positioned where it's going to go here. And then we just fill in with the leco. And again, I'm keeping it kind of positioned as best as I can so that the level is right and the positioning is right for future growth. This is really unstable, so I'm going to need to use a combination of a pot clip and tie it to the hanger that it's on. So as we kind of get it in here, I gently kind of put this in place. I don't think I'm going to damage the roots. Here I was a little concerned because they were fresh roots. Here there seem to be, you know, older roots that are in place. So I'm going to get it kind of positioned of where this should be. And again, I'll put a clip in here to kind of tighten everything down. I will then add a hanger to this pot. I did that on, so when I took a break, I also put a hanger on this pot, and then I tied up 3 of the pseudobulbs to the hanger on this pot. So this is now pretty stable, and this is going to do really well. Nice new roots. This I'm a little bit more concerned with, but I'm sure this will do well also. So put the tag back in here. I'm going to again put a clamp in there to tighten it down. I will tie up. I'll see how the this hanger, I'll see how it goes in here, and then I'll tie. You just tie up what's close to kind of anchor it in place. Then I'll tie up this one, and again, the last step here that I always do is I put in Nutricoat, time-release fertilizer, and a granular fungicide just to protect that plant. But I think these guys will do well, and this one has not bloomed. The Dinard Blue Heaven hasn't bloomed yet. Fuchs Orange Nugget has bloomed for me before, so I'm excited to see what the bloom. It's a real pretty. I've seen it at Palmer. It's a beautiful flower, so I'm excited to see what this grows into. And I'm excited. I'm going to be looking for new roots coming out of these new pseudobulbs. But I think we're good here, and I think I saved this. If I would have left this in the old pot, with the roots rotting, that mass of sphagnum moss in the middle, black rot starting to take over the plant, and again, it's in the plant and it can kind of spread because the medium was too wet, it was too moist. But now I got it in a real dry mix. You know, all the old roots are cut off, so this thing I think is going to do well. I'll keep you updated, but I think it's going to do well. All right, so 2 problem plants hopefully solved their problems, but I'll let you know over time what happens to these guys. All right, that's all I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed my video. If you did and you want to keep on seeing them, it would help me out if you can click on like, share, and subscribe to my channel if you're not already a subscriber. All right, that's all I have. Again, I hope you enjoyed today's video, and happy propagating.